A couple of years ago, I wrote a piece on WordPress, and it was entitled "The Reality of Learning to Drive," and I shared that on Facebook, and that got a lot of shares amongst the instructors. And when it comes up on their memories and when it comes up on my memories, it's very often reposted, and I think it really does help, and I think it's good to get the message out there. So I've outlined a few points that people need to consider before they're learning to drive. So point number one is that you're learning to operate a machine that, if used or operated incorrectly or irresponsibly, can result in serious injury or even worse, fatality. Point number two, your learning process will not be simple, quick or cheap. The coordination and spatial awareness takes time to develop, particularly to a point where it becomes second nature. So if you listen to friends who say that they learnt in, say, 10, 15 hours, in reality, from start to finish, that doesn't happen unless somebody's had a lot of experience before they take the driving lessons. Unless, even if somebody's truly talented, it's very, very unlikely. So point number three, as a driver, you're legally responsible for the vehicle yourself and equally responsible for the safety of others. Being a learner driver doesn't excuse you of these responsibilities, nor does it make you immune from prosecution if laws are broken. So the point to that is, when you're on a driving lesson, if you get a speeding fine, you do have to pay it. You are responsible as the driver. Yes, an instructor's got a responsibility, and I always outline that on the first lesson, that I'm responsible as well. But the ultimate responsibility is that the driver is responsible for the car. So if a learner driver was to have an accident on a lesson that was deemed a fault on the instructor's insurance, and therefore they were liable, the learner driver then, when they have to take out their own insurance, does have to declare it as an accident in the previous 5 years. So that is also a thing to consider. So that is another reason why it is good to, respect your learner, your driving instructor's car, and take the rules seriously. The next thing, it's point number four, and this is a thing that a lot of learner drivers do really not take seriously enough, and it's the importance of knowing your subject matter. It should not be underestimated or taken lightly. The theory test isn't just an obstacle on the way to your practical test. Revise thoroughly and aim to pass the test with the highest score possible. The more knowledge that you learn and retain can potentially make a massive difference to all-round safety. That goes without saying, really. There's more to driving than just operating a car. There's more to driving than just moving it, steering it, stopping it. The knowledge and cognitive skills of everything around you comes from the theory as well as the practical, and they should go alongside and go hand in hand. And we're all individuals who learn at different rates. So this goes back to what I've said earlier about people saying that they've passed more quickly. Friends or family may have reached the standard more quickly, but don't treat the learning process as a competition, because some of the information that you get might be true if somebody has learnt quite quickly, but a lot of people do exaggerate. So equally, guard against becoming demoralised if you're taking longer to learn than you thought. Don't let pride get in the way of safety, because there's a massive variation between people sometimes in terms of coordination, spatial awareness, cognitive ability to take in information, and another one is confidence. And that is really, really down to the individual, and an instructor will know what level to teach somebody at. And it's nothing personal if your instructor is teaching you more slowly. It's just simply a safety issue. And the main thing that matters is that how good you are once you've been trained, once you've got to the standard, and once you've passed, because you're then on your own. And that leads me to this one saying, always listen to your instructor and take on board their advice. An instructor's advice is more likely to be correct and up to date than that of friends or family, no matter how well meaning. And I have noticed that on lessons, like people tell me what the parents have said, who will have learned 20 to 30 years previously, and what they tell me that the parents said will resonate with me because I learned back then, but things do change. Your instructor is also the best person to advise you when you're test ready. Now, there have been occasions over the years, like most people I teach, respect what I say, respect what I do, and I think that's the same with most instructors. But there are some that will say, "Oh, I've got my driving test next week. I've booked it," or my parents have booked it for my birthday. But that person might not be ready, and that's when we refuse the use of our cars. So, if you're using a driving instructor for your driving lessons, you really do need to listen to their professional advice. The qualification that we have to get is not easy to get and it's not easy to keep. So on that basis, all I can say is we know better than your family do, with all due respect. And finally, when you have passed your test, remember that a test pass means that you're safe enough to continue learning on your own. It doesn't mean that you're the finished article. It takes years of experience to become a truly good driver. So never assume that you're the finished article. We never stop learning, nor should you.